So, the US is giving some electronics a temporary pass on tariffs, things like smartphones, laptops, and semiconductors. Sounds like progress, right? But what if I told you China sees it as just a band-aid on a much bigger trade wound? Basically, the US decided to temporarily lift tariffs on some key electronics as these big trade talks with China keep going. But China's not exactly throwing a party about it. Beijing's calling it a small step and wants the US to completely ditch what they see as unfair, old tariffs from the Trump-era's trade fight. China's take. Chinese officials are saying that these limited exemptions don't really fix the core issues messing up US-China trade over the last 5 years. Here's why it matters. Since 2018, the US has slapped tariffs on about $370 billion worth of Chinese goods. Electronics, especially semiconductors and tech stuff, are a huge part of China's exports. Even though these exemptions give tech companies and global supply chains a bit of a break, the overall tariffs are still hurting competitiveness and investment. China argues that these tariffs have long-term effects, not just for them but for global innovation and keeping markets stable. What it all means. From an economic point of view, these tariffs have made things more expensive for both US businesses and consumers. A study in 2023 by the Peterson Institute says the average American family is paying an extra $1,200 a year because of these tariff-related price hikes. But China sees these tariff changes as more than just economics. They see it as a test of whether the US is serious about rebuilding trust. With all the tension in areas like AI, rare earth minerals, and cybersecurity, tariffs aren't just about trade anymore. They're about who's going to be the tech superpower. So, are these temporary exemptions a step towards a real peace, or just a break in a bigger economic Cold War? Subscribe for sharp, up-to-date analysis on global trade, tech policy, and how the world is changing. What do you think? Should the US get rid of the tariffs completely, or keep the pressure on China? Let's discuss.